Okay, so we have got a very, very special hot seat today. Um, we've got Matthew Foster, who's with us. Matty, how you doing?
All good, mate. How are you?
Uh, yeah, very good, thank you. Now, Matty's been with us about a year, probably just under a year, I think. And he's done phenomenally well, phenomenally well. And the reason we're getting on this hot seat call is because he has just been called up for his national squad, Ireland, for the first time, the senior squad. And to be honest, I'm absolutely over the moon for him. So what we're going to do is just have a little chat about the whole process we went through and what we've done and what Matty's done in particular to get himself in this position now. So, Matty, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, mate. So first, I just give me a little bit of the almost the emotion about the when you found out you've been called up.
Yeah, unbelievably exciting more than anything. Just what I sort of worked towards for so long. To finally sort of make it a reality was unbelievably exciting. A little bit nervous. Not gonna lie, when I got the phone call from an unknown number, not really on a Wednesday night, wasn't really expecting it, but no, it was just unbelievable excitement, and then had to keep it on the lowdown for a little while before it obviously got all announced, which was tough. But when it all got announced last week, there it was so exciting. So yeah, just can't wait to get out there now. So really looking forward to it.
Amazing, absolutely amazing, blood. And I know when I when I saw it, I was just like, I messaged you straight away, go, mate, like so happy, mate, so happy. So to start with, mate, just tell us a little bit about sort of the issues you're having with your bowling or things that were happening with your cricket before you came onto the plan.
Yeah, so it was the season before last. I'd had a rough time with I just come out of uni and sort of in uni I had a little bit of not necessarily cricket specific S&C stuff, but a degree of sort of S&C support. So when I come out of it that summer, I was sort of gymming and stuff on my own and just doing my own thing. And I sort of said to myself, I'm going to give it a crack, try and give cricket a go. And during that summer, I tore my hamstring and tore my pec. So early doors, tore my hamstring at the start of the year, and then tore my pec sort of August time. So and that ruled me out for the rest of the season. So, I realized quite quickly what I was doing wasn't right and wasn't working. Did a little bit of looking about and saw the program with yourself and sort of thought, why not give it a go? Um, what's there to lose kind of thing. And obviously then from there, it's been I wouldn't simply wouldn't be here without the help from yourself and the Cricket Strength program. So um, yeah, that's a little bit where I was physically and technically as well. The work that I did with you, I wasn't really getting that kind of in depth sort of support. Obviously, being coming out of uni, I wasn't associated with any counties or anything, or back at home. I was sort of on the cusp of interprovincial cricket, which is like the first class setup here in Ireland. So I was getting a little bit of access to bowling coaching and stuff, but to have someone who is fully invested in me and working with me, I didn't have that. So that's a little bit where I was pre cricket strength.
Cool. So what were you doing? Obviously, you spoke about gym wise, you were trying to do little bits yourself. What about for your bowling? What things were you trying to do to help your bowling?
I was just sort of listening to or doing a bit of sort of brief research online and things, and then when we had the odd session with the Ireland staff, that it was more just sort of listening to what they were saying about the old run in quicker, get the knees pumping kind of thing. There wasn't any in depth. Um, that's nothing to say. That's nothing against those guys. It was more when they were at those sessions, we were training alongside the Irish guys, so they were their priority. And the things that they had been working on with the Irish international lads. So we were just sort of there at the training session, and they were there at the old one kind of thing. So, um, it was more not as much technical stuff that I'd done with you. It was more release and sort of tactically kind of looking at things like that, but actually going into the detail of how to bowl quicker, how to get in the right position that not you're getting yourself in a good position, safe position to prevent injuries and be bowling quicker with that as well. So it was completely opened my eyes and blew my mind to the in-depth sort of technical points that you've done with you.
Brilliant. Cool. So then what made you contact us?
Um, I think, like I said before, I obviously what I was doing before wasn't working, and was it the definition of insanity? I guess is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same results. So thought, why not try something else? A little bit. I'm kind of a little bit niche in that sense. I like trying different things, doing little probably thinking outside the box. And I remember there was a few comments when I'd said a few of the lads that I'd sort of signed up to, that's a bit different, or no one else is doing that kind of thing, which is quite good as well. So and yeah, just trying to get out of the hole of getting injured and probably not. Well, I'm 6'4", pretty well built, and not bowling quick as well. Probably, yeah, I thought I'd try something different.
So interesting you say about some of the other lads were like, what are you doing that for? Was it like quite hard that you thought, sometimes, with the warm-ups and different things that we put in for you, was there a point where you were a little bit nervous about doing them in front of the other boys and they took the mick a little bit, or?
Yeah, yeah, I think a few of the lads were giving me a few looks over the other side of the hall when they're lying on the floor doing their stretches, and I'm over with a Matty ball in the corner and smashing it against the wall, sort of going, "What's Paul's doing over there?" kind of thing. So, yeah, but I guess that I knew what I well, threw myself into it, and the best thing for me was I saw results pretty quickly, and that sort of gave me the confidence in it and trust in it that this is pretty good, and yeah, from there, I know I've had a few guys come to me now and speak about the work I've been doing, and coaches as well, which I know we talked about during the sort of the process of sometimes there can be that little bit of challenge from coaches when they're sort of challenging those ideas. But to be fair to every coach that I've spoke to in our sort of setup about the work I've been doing, they've been pretty open to it. So giving credit where it's due there. But yeah, initially there was a few raised eyebrows of what's that kind of stuff there, and but yeah.
So what were your initial thoughts? Obviously, you come on and we look at your action, we look at your movements and everything. Obviously, the first phase was probably something completely different than you expected. So, from your thoughts, was there a little bit of, okay, this doesn't look the same, but right, we're going to get into this because it sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
Exactly. That was exactly it. The stuff the detail and depth of, we weren't obviously working in person, but the ability to do as good a job as, if not, more detail that I've had from any other coach. Do it over this kind of form with Zoom and things, and checking them through WhatsApp and that kind of stuff. And yeah, that initial sort of screening and the little take you through the different steps of different like seminars and videos and stuff, going through the initial process of getting set up with everything was just it was exciting, to be honest. Sort of going, this is completely different. Um this is really cool, and yeah, it just sort of sparked my interest and to go, right, we're going to go through with this and see um where it takes me, because yeah, it was, yeah, straight away. I remember after our first initial call where we sort of sat down and planned out about, you'd sort of talk through the action and stuff, and where you were going to go with it. I remember I live at home with mum and dad and just come downstairs and said, yeah, let's do this. It's he knows what he's doing. So yeah, that was pretty much my first thought, definitely.
Brilliant. And then how did you find the process? Obviously, like I said, the first month is it can hit people quite hard, not physically, it's not a case of you crawling out the gym, but just because it's so different. So how did you find the process of the first few months?
It was interesting, yeah, like you said, like sometimes you come out of the gym and you're not, you're training as an athlete more than anything, and you go into the gym and you're not blowing out your whole for after every session, but you know that, you know like I said before, I saw the results pretty early on, and that gave me the confidence of, what, just stick with this and be consistent with it, and it's going to work. Um, but yeah, no, some of the stuff was interesting, some of the stuff was different, and I did it in the public gym and stuff. So the first few months, I was sort of doing a few different exercises and getting a few raised eyebrows as well. But I knew what I was doing, and I was pretty confident in that, so it didn't really bother me. But yeah, the first couple of times I remember vividly remember like sort of it wasn't particularly like painful or stiff or whatever coming out of bed, but it was like I felt like I'd bowled.
Hmm.
It mimicked the movements and stuff that so when I remember I did it for a sort of period before going back into the preseason indoor training, and I was sort of going on. I normally previously I sort of remembered how I'd felt after a first bowl back into indoor training,
Yeah,
but I wasn't feeling that after, because I'd felt like I'd bowled for a month in the gym,
yeah.
that kind of thing. So no, definitely was interesting, but yeah, that got me going then when I saw the results of that and things. So that kept me going definitely.
Now that is interesting because that's one of the key things that it's hard to get across to someone that when you go back into the gym or back into bowling after you've done this, it's not going to hurt. It's not obviously you're always going to feel a little bit when you're
Yeah.
bowling, but normally that first bowl of the year, first bowl of the winter, the next couple days are murder. You're struggling to walk
Yeah.
stairs, struggling to go to the toilet, all sorts of things. So it almost people are sort of holding their breath, waiting for the pain to hit, and it doesn't come. So then you do sort of the twitching the brain, thinking, okay, we're onto something here. We really are. Is that how it felt?
That was exactly how I felt. Yeah, that once I remember saying to the lads and stuff like, I feel like I've been bowling for a month more than you, kind of thing because of the stuff in the gym that I've been doing. So definitely can vouch for that. Definitely.
And then with your body, talk to us about that because obviously you had the pec injury, you had the hammy injury, then going into last season, getting through the whole season. I don't think you missed a game. Was that like
Yeah, injury wise, no, I didn't miss a game. No,
was that like a point where you suddenly thought, I've got complete confidence in my body here. I can just go and bowl and express myself.
exactly. Yeah, it would have been times where I would have been a little bit sort of standoffish, and sort of the fear of missing games with injury as well. Obviously, trying to get to that next step, and um, that was definitely a thought in the back of my mind. But getting through a full summer, for the first time since pre-COVID, like to be bowling, right up to we had a game in mid-September, I think, which was the first time I'd ever got that deep in a season. So, and like I know I felt like I could keep going, and we started the game pretty early on. I think it
Mm.
was end of October time, and it just picked up where I left off. Then there was no real sort of back spike up again after just from doing it consistently. It sort of felt like um at the back end of the season that I could keep going for as long as I needed to. So that was a sort of a light bulb moment going, yeah, the work is definitely worth it. So yeah.
Brilliant. And I guess some of the things we don't talk about enough is the outcome, in terms of, so, what was the bowling like? We talk about how the action can change. We talk about how we stay away from injury, how we're not in pain after bowling, but the actual outcome is the key to everything. It's no good doing those things if we're not bowling well. So just talk to us how the bowling was.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, the probably not people probably aren't aware like of sort of the structure in Ireland, but because of the sort of there's only four provincial teams, so the first class cricket's very very sporadic. So club cricket plays a real big role for guys in Ireland, and so like a lot of sort of interprovincial selection comes from how you do in club cricket. So I think it was each year I've been sort of getting better and better in club cricket. So I think it was like 32 wickets or something this year in club cricket, which is it was like um, top five or so in the league. And then from there, I was able to push on then into the provincial level, um, taking a few wickets the back end of the season, through like selection and stuff at the start of the season. Wasn't really involved, but sort of through the middle months, I was starting to get back into the team and taking wickets, and then it sort of linking back to what we said before about bowling right through the summer, that we had a couple of Irish Academy games at the end of the year. Took three for we were Loughborough against the England 19s, took a free for there, played the Free Foresters in the Ford Air at Arundel in like mid-September, took a four for. And that's sort of then from then on it's really kicked on then to get to where I am now, sort of impressing the right people. There were a couple of Red Bull games building into these international games that are coming up. So yeah, that not just physically feeling good, feeling strong, being able to bowl the whole way through the summer, but being able to bowl well consistently as well, and sort of building up nicely, peaking at the right time at the sort of the big end or sort of the back end of the season, which was good. So, like you said, it's not just being able to be fit to bowl; you need to be fit to bowl well as well, and impress the right people. So,
In were you getting whispers about that? You know, you talk about impressing the right people. Obviously, you had a few academy games with Ireland, but were you thinking, right, you know, there might be a chance here?
well, I think it always been sort of looked at as more of a red ball bowler. And I made my debut pretty early on in Interpro when 2019, just before COVID, when there was first class cricket in Ireland. We haven't had first class cricket since then. So I was thrown in pretty early on. So I'd always been seen as a red ball bowler. So, but it wasn't. There was the first after the first academy game against I think the 19s that I was told that the selectors were keen to see you in that format again. So when the next Red Bull game came up, that there was whispers then, not necessarily to be thrown into the next test squad in Sri Lanka, but I wasn't really thinking that far ahead. But there was definitely that. If I was going to see sort of an avenue into the setup, probably that would have been it. But probably couldn't imagine it to happen that quickly. But yeah, we'll take it.
Amazing, mate. And so, you got called up. You just told us a little bit about that, but looking forward now. So where's the tour to? And are you looking into the summer? Because unless I'm mistaken, isn't there a test match against England coming up in the summer?
Yeah, so I'm in Sri Lanka. So there's the first part of the tour is in Bangladesh. Um, that's in March, and then I head out to Sri Lanka in April. There's a test match there and two ODIs, and then yes, there's a very busy summer for Ireland this summer. Like you said, there's a Lord's Test match in June, I think, which would obviously be um unbelievable to be a part of. Especially like an Ashes summer. To be involved sort of in Test cricket in England in the way they're playing their Test cricket at the moment is exciting. To be involved in that kind of game would be unbelievable. And then there's also there's World Cup qualifiers. I know that Bangladesh or Ireland in May for a big World Cup qualifier that might be being played in England. I'm not sure, but that they need Ireland need to win that series 3-0 to have a chance of qualifying automatically to the World Cup at the end of the year.
Right.
And then there's some more series. There's some big teams. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but it's a very busy summer. If they don't get through that, there's a World Cup qualifier in Zimbabwe, which is obviously massive as well. So there's a lot of cricket coming up. So obviously there's hopefully these opportunities for guys like me when you're looking at sort of making that pool of players bigger. That there's hopefully going to be opportunities. So when I'm out in Sri Lanka, hopefully, get involved and take some wickets and just keep the head down and get on with it and try and take as many wickets as I can when I get to play. So that's all I can really do. So
Amazing. But what I would say is just make sure I've got a ticket to that Lord's Test match. All right. And the front row there
yes, you'll be high up the list. I'm sure there'll be a few people asking if I
Oh,
was
I
involved,
want an Ireland shirt as well. Bad.
no,
Very
I'm sure we can make that happen.
bad. I love it. So last question, mate, is it one I always throw in at the end. So knowing what you know now, if we took you back to the night before we had our first chat, how much money would it cost for us to pay you not to get on that call and not to have everything else that's happened since?
Yeah, there's absolutely no chance I'm not going on that call. I wouldn't be. You couldn't. there's like you couldn't not put me on that call now. If I knew now knowing what the reward, the rewards that I've got from it. And it's, like I oh you'll be forever in debt, I think, to the work I've done with you in Cricket Strength and the guys, behind the scenes as well. For the help you've given me, just technically, physically, the support, just to have, feel like, someone there supporting you, giving you 100% effort. And like I would, you couldn't stop me going on that call. Like
Brilliant.
the work's been top drawer. So
Amazing.
thank you.
Oh, mate, no, thank you. Because there was a phrase from a film, I lay it out for you to play it out. So if you don't do the work, then it doesn't matter what I do. But the fact is, you've done the work. I knew you would, and that's why we do calls to start, to almost to say who would like to come on. And from the first sort of call, from the first month, I knew you'd be on it. And honestly, I can't tell you how proud I am of you, and I can't wait to see the successes ahead of you as well, buddy. There's a lot coming, and it's going to be exciting. Like I said, I want to be on that front row, looking and cheering the first wicket, the first schnick off. So, mate,
Unbelievable.
thanks for coming on the call, buddy. It should be an inspiration for a lot of people, because you were in a position which a lot of people are, where you didn't have anyone to help. And a lot of people haven't got anyone to help, but you didn't give up. You didn't just sort of go through the motions, stay in the comfort zone. You put yourself right out there. You've done the work in quiet, in cold nights, when you probably didn't want to, but you've been relentless, and it's just the start of everything for you, mate. So well done, and let's look forward to a hell of a lot more success for you.
Sounds good. Top man. Thank you very much.
Speak soon,
Cheers,
buddy.
mate.